See what's happening with you. All right. Well, wow. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Welcome in. This is Dr. Darnise, and welcome into my community, Religion, Magic, and Conjure. Thanks for joining. I just decided this afternoon to go live, and so I put up a little prompt that I would be going live in our community tab so that anybody who was around could join me. First of all, there's a couple things. One, I do want to talk about America's race problem and how we're all witnessing it right now. We've been witnessing it, but here's another example. But before I get to that, I just want to offer a reminder that this Saturday, the 9th, is the manifestation class. And so, some of y'all said that y'all were really, looking forward to the manifestation class. So if you want to sign up, you can. Up until Saturday, the class is 3 Saturdays in January. And you don't have to be live on them, because if you register, you'll be able to have access to them really forever. But I will say that going forward, this will be the only time that I'm going to be live doing the class with you. So if you want to have me live on the class with you, where you get to interact with me and ask me questions and that kind of thing, you might want to jump on this go round, because what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to have recorded versions of this manifesting class. So just to be clear about that. But the topic for today really is diving into what's going on in our country. Here it is, January the 7th, 2021. And, I really hope that nobody thought, okay, just because we turn the calendar that everything is going to be fixed. No, it's up to us to fix it. It's up to us. Even from a spiritual point of view, it's up to us to fix it. Because God, however you conceive God, does not just come in and correct our issues for us. We have been given a kick in the pants repeatedly, and we have to do something. We have to grow. This is about our spiritual growth. I'm seeing some people come on. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining. We are being given a kick in the pants to do something. What kind of world do we want? Who are we as human beings? Who are we as Americans? That's what we really have to own going forward. There is no, oh, I'm waiting for Jesus to come back and fix it. This is not God's kingdom, so I don't have to worry about it. We live here. And what if instead of waiting on God, God is waiting on us? God is waiting on us to get it together. God has already given us everything here on this planet Earth. And if things are going awry, it's on our watch. Okay, so it's up to us. But again, I just want to come on here and talk about how America's race problem is a white problem, and it's pervasive in our country. Now, I offered a class, I don't know when it was, a couple of weeks ago, about race and religion in America. And some people even asked me why. Why? Somebody asked me specifically, why are you so obsessed with that, race and religion? Do y'all see? America is obsessed with race, and it cloaks itself in religion. Specifically, it cloaks itself in Christianity and operates as if they are taking the moral Christian high ground, which they are not, but they cloak themselves in it. America's vision of itself is that we are a Christian nation and that we are a city on a hill and we are exceptional in every way from every other country and from everybody else who's ever existed prior to us in history. That is simply, it's not really true. It is true, however, that what America, the vision, the remarkable dream of America is that you would have a place where people could come from all different places and be able to live together and get along. That is pretty remarkable. The American experiment, it's often referred to. The American experiment. Can you bring people from all over and put them in one nation and have them develop a national identity that works? That's what the American experiment is. And we have to work it. It's not like, oh, here it is, you know, with a bow on top. It is, we have to do it. And so we have to continually acknowledge that America has a race problem. White supremacy has been a part of this country's narrative from its inception. We could just say 1619. In that class, race and religion, you know, I talk more specifically about the historical idea. Where did the historical idea of white supremacy even come from? So I gave that lesson. We now are in a time where we're living with it. It's in the air, it's in the water. We breathe it. The white supremacy that's part of the narrative of America. And for those who would say, oh no, but that's not who we are. Apparently it is who we are. Because what we saw in the overtaking of the Capitol building, an attempted coup, to snatch the election away from one candidate who won it and to give it to another candidate just because you like him better, that is a coup. That is what we see in other countries that are supposedly not as stable as the United States of America, not as great as the United States of America, and they have what's been called a banana republic because the power just gets passed around by whoever can snatch it. So where this president, 45, lame duck president going out, he said those were blank hole countries, right? And yet here is America exhibiting that. In addition, for America, we saw those people cloaked with Trump banners, flags, T-shirts, and crosses. Did anybody see the crosses? I saw a couple of white crosses with people that were carrying. There's a Christian nationalism that is going on, that has been going on in our country. A Christian nationalism that is infused with white supremacy. And it has been allowed to run unchecked pretty much until 2020 when stuff started to explode again. I mean, yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was out here telling people about it, but he didn't say so exactly. Your version of Christianity is infused with white supremacy. James Cone, the founder of Black liberation theology, said that. What King did say was, here's what's wrong with American society. And if you call yourself a Christian, it's not compatible. Okay, but actually, what's not compatible is the Christian doctrine with white supremacy. But the Christian nationalists have actually taken over Christianity and decided that their vision of Christianity is going to be the American version of Christianity, and they're going to have a white Jesus if it kills everybody. They're going to have a white Jesus if it kills everybody. So some of the language around the attempted coup, the insurrection, whatever people want to call it, was Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president. That's their calling card. Now, imagine what Jesus is that. First of all, I could do a whole class on just talking about, not one class, multiple classes on the Jesus of the New Testament, because they're not reading the Jesus of the New Testament. They're not even reading that guy, that brown-skinned Palestinian guy who got assassinated by the state for being a protester. No. Their version of Jesus, their version of Christianity is a white Aryan Jesus wrapped in the American flag with a gun, who says, yes, you get to own everything. Yes, you are the chosen people, white people. You're the chosen people and you get to have everything. And everybody else has to bow down to you and your power. That's what white supremacy is. White supremacy says there's a hierarchy of races on this planet and we're at the top and everybody else is ours for the taking or the using, however we will. And they've decided that they're going to read Christianity in a way that supports that vision. Because how else could you have Klansmen and white nationalists use Christianity in such a way? What is going on? Because they're taking the Christian narrative and saying this is ours and we're going to do with it what we want to do, because that's what we do anyway. We take things and we do what we want with them. They ran up on the Capitol and said, we're going to do what we want to do. We know that this thing is supposed to go where basically this is a formality to confirm Joseph Biden as the next president, and there's supposed to be a peaceful transfer of power. But these people said, no, there's not going to be a peaceful transfer of power. We're going to interrupt it however we can. That's a coup. That is not patriotism. So this is America. They have wrapped themselves in the Christian, in the American form of Christianity, which is white supremacist through and through. W.E.B. Du Bois said back in the day that the Christian church was Jim Crow from top to bottom. Jim Crowed from top to bottom, and that it was pretty much irredeemable. He gave his entire life, Du Bois gave his entire adult life to working for the freedom of African American people. But by the end of his life, he left here, went to Ghana and died there. Because he's like, you know what? Whiteness is its own thing. And we can see that. We can look at it and say, wow, whiteness is really its own drug. And Du Bois had to say it by the end of his life because he tried to stay here and he fought against Marcus Garvey. Remember, Marcus Garvey said, we just need to get up on out of here and go on back to Africa because these people are never going to treat us like anything. They're never going to really make a way for us. We got to go. And Du Bois fought with Garvey. I mean, it was strong beef between Garvey and Du Bois. But, you know, I can't help but say, you know, even as I teach it in my classes, this beef between Garvey and Du Bois, I said, well, Garvey gets the last laugh because Du Bois ended up in Africa because he said, you're right, I can't do anything about this whiteness. It's a drug. It's an addiction to a determination that some people are better than other people and that God has ordained it. That's part of the Christian nationalism. They understand that God has ordained for them to be top of the heap, to have dominion over everybody else. And so they act accordingly. So y'all know at the Capitol, how is it that they just walked up in there? So who was it? Joy Reid from MSNBC. Joy Reid from MSNBC. She said, because white people don't fear the police. White people feel like the police are here to protect and serve me. Mostly protect and serve me, protect me and my property and to serve me. People of color, particularly black people, look at the police like, I'm apparently always the threat. I'm always the problem. That's why I call this the white problem, because teaching African American history as I do, a lot of the literature is framed around this phrase, the Negro problem. It's not really a Negro problem, but what that's usually meant, what is meant by that in historical text is what to do with a free black population. This country after the Civil War really didn't know what to do with a free black population. And so it became a problem. It's a Negro problem, but it's only a problem because white Americans could not receive black people into the body, which is America. White people couldn't understand that black people who have been formerly enslaved could not, they're like, they don't have a place in free America. They don't have a place in my Christian church. I know we baptized them on our plantations, but that meant for them to be separate from us and not to consider themselves equal. That was a really important point when missionaries were going onto plantations and baptizing enslaved people. They had to fight and fight and fight against slave owners who said, I don't want my slaves to think they're equal to me. And so the missionaries had to say, no, 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 we're not going to teach them that they're equal to you. We're going to teach them that they're saved and they will have their reward in heaven when they die. But for right now, no, 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 no. There will be no disturbing of the social order in America. So you can let us baptize your slaves. So after the Civil War, white Christians were still of that mindset. You are still not my equal. You are still not my equal. And so you can see this in our police force. Look at how policing is done. And if somehow or another you did not understand how policing works for white people and how policing works for black people, you had a demonstration of it yesterday. Those police just pretty much just opened the doors to the Capitol, removed the gates. They just made a way. They just made a way. Come on in here, because it was like, oh, you're a valid protester. You're allowed to protest. Come on in. You're allowed to protest. Come on in. We all know if it was black people that it would have been a massacre. It would have been an absolute massacre on the steps of the Capitol. But we have footage of officers attending to those people who were hurt in some way. I saw footage of officers helping a white woman come down the steps. White womanhood, right? She needs help. She always needs help. The Klan, the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, said we have to protect our women against marauding Negroes because they want to rape our white women. So we have to always be on guard and restore order. That's why the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan came about. It's because they said we have to restore order. And what did they mean by order? They wanted black people to know your place. So restore order by violence and by intimidation. So part of restoring order was to put white womanhood up on a pedestal and protect her at all costs. And what we saw on the steps of the Capitol yesterday were white police officers helping white women navigate down the steps unless she should fall or hurt herself. Okay, so we have to get how in America race and religion play together in very harmful, violent ways. That's why I talk about race and religion so much on this channel. And, mostly I talk about African traditional spiritualities and hoodoo and that kind of thing. But we're living at a time now where the American Christianity is collapsing upon itself. And I have to speak to that, of course. I'm a religion scholar, right? I write books about religion. It's what I do. As a matter of fact, I just had an article published in Religion News Service online yesterday, or what day was that? Tuesday. I just had a new article published about, asking, really was directed towards black Christians, saying don't demonize African spiritualities. That's what that article was about. But that's what I do. So of course I'm going to be here on my channel talking about the ways in which we're seeing a particular religion, variation on a religion, American Christianity, white Christianity implode. But in the last gasps, it's grabbing onto everything it can to prop itself up, to not die out. right? Because they know they're dying out. This form of domination. I mean, think of Native American people. You know, sometimes people want to argue with me and say, well, black people have it the worst in America. Almost. Native Americans. You don't, most people cannot even, do not even know a Native American person. Can't tell if they've ever seen one in their entire lives. Couldn't tell you anything about Native American, anything, history, nothing, other than that fallacy called Thanksgiving, which is a lie, right? The lies are just up for everybody to see right now. Thanksgiving, it's not, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving for years now. But when you ask most Americans, what do you know about Native American people? Nothing. So, so for us as African Americans to say we have it worse, we have it bad. No doubt. But Native American people, have y'all seen the clip of the Native American man on the night after when Biden was finally announced the winner? Not today, but you know, right, like a couple days after the election. And there's a clip that went around social media of a Native American man who got out of his truck. I forget where it was. I want to say New Mexico, and was driving down the street. It looked like a lot of cars. They were out. The people were blowing their horns, and this Native American man got out of his truck and did a dance. And it was so exhilarating for all the world to see, really. It was so exhilarating because even people who are Native American and this who've been so abused, almost genocided out. Genocide is not even a verb, but I'm going to say almost genocided into oblivion. Got out of his truck to say, thank God. And I always say, you know, Biden is a bridge. Biden is our bridge over troubled water. I'm not here to act like Joe Biden is the best thing that ever happened to black people or whatever. It is not even about that. Do y'all know we meet a bridge over troubled water, and right now that bridge is the Joseph R. Biden Bridge over Troubled Water featuring Kamala Harris. That's what we have. That's what we have. And thank God for Stacey Abrams in Georgia. You hear me? Thank God for Stacey Abrams and all the people who have been doing grassroots work in the state of Georgia for, you know, decades, really. So here's how you know it's important to vote. Why are they so much after your votes? If voting doesn't matter, Stacey Abrams brought it on home. We got Raphael Warnock. We got Ossoff. We got John Ossoff. We have a lot of opportunity. I'll put it that way. We have a lot of opportunity. And what else? I wanted to say something about Warnock too. Raphael, Reverend Doctor. What are all his titles now? Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock, walking in the shoes of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from the same church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, continuing that prophetic edge. So what you have in America is white nationalist Christianity, and then you have the prophetic black church. That's what you have. And it is always the prophetic black church that pushes America forward to really be who she is, who she says she is. Because America says she is one thing, but acts out like she did in front of the Capitol yesterday. Acts out with, you know, crosses burning and stuff like that, segregation and trying to keep people from voting who are not white. So Raphael Warnock, the senator, changed the state dynamic of Georgia, changed the Senate now. He is a black minister from a prophetic lineage who's going into the Senate. He is literally the hope and the dream, is he not? He is the hope and the dream. And again, you know what I don't want us to do? I don't want us to put, you know, hold these people in such, we all hold them in esteem, but I mean, don't put people on such a pedestal that they have to be perfect humans somehow. Not everybody makes mistakes. If we find out tomorrow that he cheated on his wife or whatever, I don't even know if he has a wife, I'm assuming. But if we find out something about his character that's not 100% sparkling clean, so what? Because whose life is 100% sparkling clean by somebody else's standards? We need, like I said, that bridge over troubled water. And he has stepped up to say, send me, right? Like the prophets in the Bible. Here am I, Lord, send me. Well, really only one, because all the other prophets were running away. The other prophets were like, okay, I'll go. But Reverend Warnock said, here am I, Lord, send me. I will be the prophetic voice in the Senate. I will be the prophetic voice from Georgia. I will be the one to speak truth to power. Because that's what we need right now. We don't need politicians who are just trying to skate by, because that's been the Republican Senator, Congress people. Because now it's coming out. You see that they're fleeing. Some of them anyway are fleeing. Even Mike Pence is trying to save himself at this 11th and a half hour. Not even the 11th hour. 11th and a half hour, Mike Pence is trying to save himself by changing his Twitter page to reflect, yes, Biden-Harris won. Right? He's like, because really when you think about it, 45 threw him under the bus yesterday at the Capitol. Like, oh, well, anything could have happened to him. He's the vice president doing what he's supposed to do up there in the Senate, doing whatever he's doing his job. People act like Pence was supposed to overturn it for Trump. Pence can't do that. That's a crime. Pence was there doing what he's supposed to do as vice president. 45 barely had anything to say at all. When, the stuff started hitting the fan, barely had anything to say at all. And no, there's his number two standing there. Anything could have happened to him. So I'm assuming Mike Pence woke up today and was like, that is the last straw. That is the last time I stick up for this man. And other politicians have said about Pence that he has not been, that he's been weak. He has not taken any moral high ground. He has not exhibited any amount of courage under this president. And so what we're seeing from Mike Pence even is that now he's trying to distance himself. But in any case, I'm not here to celebrate Mike Pence in any way. I'm just saying it's almost funny. If the whole situation wasn't so crazy, it would almost be funny that he got thrown under the bus yesterday after all these years of showing his loyalty. All these years of showing his loyalty to 45. 45 is just like, oh, well, fend for yourself. And then imagining Mike Pence waking up like, I'll be damned. He just left me out here to catch whatever. So anyway, I do expect that we're going to see a lot more people fleeing the Trump camp. But really, what does it matter now? They've already shown themselves. And then you probably wonder, ask yourself, what do his people want? I mean, these people who are these Trump supporters, what do they want? What are they doing that for? Why do they want Trump to be president so much? Thanks, Nasheed, for comments. Thank you all. What do you suppose they want? I do want to say, I forgot to say this, y'all. I have Super Chat now. I have all kinds of chat options. I got Super Chat. So anyway, I don't even know how that's working right now. That's a brand new feature for me, but I'll figure it out. What do these people want under a Trump presidency? And I assume that they want America the way America looked in 1955, with them in charge of everything, and that people of color, black people knew their places, gay people never came out of the closet. We didn't even hear about trans people. An America where whiteness reigned, just unbridled, and everybody who was not white just had to fall in line and be in servitude, really. Be a maid, be in service, and be happy about it. Be happy. As you know, any black person now who comes to any position of prominence, even when Barack Obama was running for the first time, there was all kind of comments about him being uppity, being an uppity Negro. And what is, I mean, the idea that you could have an uppity Negro means what? What do you mean uppity? Means you're not in your proper place that I have for you. And if you try to get out of that place that I have for you and join me over here where I am, then you're leaving your place illegitimately and you are uppity. But, you know, if you could say that uppity back in the day, that person might be swinging from a tree before the day was over. If they were uppity and they didn't show proper respect to the white folks in their community, right? So that's what I think they want. They want a president who's going to make it okay for them to have that kind of America again. That's what they consider great again. And so when we saw that, what are they trying to say? No, I don't want change that favors anybody who's not white or anybody who's not Christian and serving a white Jesus. I mean, they are choking on white on recognizing that Jesus wasn't white, aren't they? I'm just looking at this note because I jotted down a few things. I've been watching the news today. I don't typically watch the news all day on any day, but you know, yesterday was extraordinary, and today they've been talking so much about are they going to use the 25th Amendment to take this man out of office. The Senate says if they don't take this man out of office by the 25th Amendment, which means you are found incompetent, pretty much, you're incompetent to serve, that the Congress is going to impeach him a second time and remove him from office because clearly he is able to do harm. Even in the short period of time that he has left in his presidency, he is able to do much harm to the whole security of the nation. And now it is on display for all the world to see. But for us on this channel, I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that this is wrapped in a cloak of white Christianity. And so when I'm on here on this channel talking about Black people reclaiming our culture and our traditions, recognize how empowering that is for us. That's why I do this, because we need to have our own, we need to value, excuse me, we need to value our own culture and our own spiritualities that we have been told for centuries amount to nothing, right? We've been told for centuries, you don't have any culture. Africa has nothing. It's just a land of nothing. And so we're all having to overcome that, not just Black people in America, but the whole world is having to overcome that miseducation, that very intentional miseducation. If Africa has nothing, then why do these Europeans and Chinese people stay there? They stay in Africa, dominating the resources. And then they present to the rest of the world, oh, look, you see how poor the African people are. You see they need Christianity. They need missionaries. They need us to come in and take over. They need us to run their countries. They don't have a good democracy. But if there's nothing of value in Africa, why are you there? Because we know that Africa is the wealthiest continent on this planet. And everything is in Africa. And for us as African descent people, we need to understand the value that we carry within our very DNA of African people. And if we don't hold on to it, who's going to hold on to it? Because right now the Chinese are all over Africa, sucking up the resources of the continent. Europeans never really left. African countries have their independence in some ways, but economically, Europeans and the Chinese still have a very firm grasp over resources throughout the continent. And so it's up to us to recognize who we are and what we come from. So anyway, I get on my soapbox about that. But of course, this is my YouTube channel. I get on my soapbox. Anything anybody else want to say on here? Like I said, I have this super chat situation happening, which means that y'all get to contribute. You get to, I don't know if you can see any of those options? Somebody let me know, yes or no. Do you see any options for super chat or anything like that on my, I don't know where I would see it. So, um, I don't know, or maybe I have to do another step or something in my YouTube studio before it really becomes active. But just keep in mind that is coming down the road, like in the next week when I figure all that out. Again, I'll say the manifestation class is happening on Saturday. So if you want to be part of that, I will put the link. I put the link in various videos. I put it in the community tab. I will put the link for the class in the description box for this video and pin it to the top of the comments so you can easily find it. But we're starting on Saturday. So please come on and register. It's meaningful manifestations. And you know what? In a world as crazy as this, you need to have your own center. You need to have your own spiritual practice. You need to have your own way of creating the life you want to live. And so that we're not all reacting constantly. So we're not all in a state of just reactivity constantly. Because that's what can happen. We get up and, people check their phones way too soon. I always say, give yourself some time before you check your phone in the morning or turn on the news, because get yourself centered first. But at some point we look at the news and we're in reaction or to whatever text message somebody sent us. We're reactive all day. And I know I'm guilty of it too. I'll get a ton of text messages and emails and I'll be in reactive mode. But at least if I start my day off right, I know I will have at least set my intention. I will have set my intention for the kind of day I want to have and the kind of life I want to be creating for myself, for 2021 and going forward. There are a lot of things that I have planned, a lot of expansion that I have in terms of this channel and some other kinds of classes that I'm going to have, personal coaching at the VIP level. And so, I have things and I cannot let myself just get deterred and in reactive mode. I have to be in proactive mode and be intentional about creating the next step for myself. And that's what the course is about. And that's what I'm inviting you into, to learn how to be proactive like that. Learn how to be intentional. Well, here's the subtitle for the class is, what is it? I call it align and accept, right? Align yourself with where you're trying to go. And I also take you through some spiritual traditions where these ideas come from about manifesting and the law of attraction. What you hear out here in the mainstream or even other YouTube videos, it's very superficial what they teach about manifesting. It's very superficial. They're not teaching you anything about the actual spiritual tradition or about the vibrational nature of this universe and why manifestations work. We are always manifesting. We are always attracting. There is no off switch. There's no like, okay, I'm going to try and manifest today. You're manifesting this very moment. We as a whole collective conscious have manifested what happened at the Capitol. We manifested that. How did we do all that? Because collectively, the narrative, the story that America tells about itself means that it ends up in something like that. And especially when most of the country is unwilling to look at even any of the signs or warnings, right? When the country's unwilling to look at itself. When we have a country that allows for people who lost the Civil War to act as if we didn't, that's what I mean by we've allowed it, we manifested. Because think about this, what other country, what other community can you lose a war and you still get to fly your banner and talk about your traitorous heroes? Build statues to who was going to be the president of your Confederate United States. What country do you get to lose a war and still wave the banner? No. When you lose a war, you're done. Everything about you is canceled. But in America, because of white supremacy, the Confederacy has been allowed to continue. that flag, the modern day Confederates saying, this is not racist, it's just our culture. A culture of what? You want to have statues up of people who wanted to hold on to slaveholding as the basis of their economy. It's the basis of their way of life. The Southern way of life was based upon an economy of slavery, well, the whole national economy, based upon slavery. And these people wanted to maintain it. And they wanted to maintain segregation. They wanted to literally maintain a white supremacy and separation of the white races. And that's never gone away. It's never gone away. So people, some white people who I have known and have had recent conversations with who say, well, I don't think that it exists anymore. I don't think that there's such a thing as systemic racism anymore. My question to them, if anybody asks you or says to you, there's no such thing as systemic racism anymore, ask them what year it died out. Because I want to know, well, where did it go and when? Because this country certainly started with it. And we've seen it as long as we've all been here and can read history books. So I asked those people, will you tell me what year that it ended? And they go, oh, well, no, I can't. I don't mean it ended a particular year. Well, if it didn't end, then it's still here. If it didn't end, then it's still here. And you have some people who are willing to announce that it's still here because they've been waving their Confederate flags. The state of South Carolina didn't remove that flag until very recently. The state of South Carolina continued to wave the Confederate flag at their state house until into the 2000s. And they felt, of course, it's part of our history and culture. Of course, we're going to have the Confederate flag. Huh? State house. So that's what I mean by we as a collective even manifested and allowed for that to fester so that it could explode in something that happened, like taking over the Capitol building. So in your own personal life, how do you allow things to manifest and explode when you don't mean to, right? You don't mean to have something go all kind of haywire and crazy in your own life, and yet it does. How does that happen? Mostly it happens because we're not aware, we're not intentional. We're operating by default, what I call manifesting on the default plan. So you're not taking ownership of your own power to create your life the way you want it to be. And you're in reactive mode to every little thing that comes along. Everybody who says this or that, or people pulling you in different directions. You have family responsibilities. You have things to do. Yes, we're all busy people. But because you haven't aligned yourself with where you really want to go, everybody can pull you. And when they pull you off your own track, they just get you to disperse your energy, and you don't get to manifest what you really want. You get to manifest just, by default. And stuff can go haywire, and stuff will repeatedly go haywire if you don't get intentional and align with where you really want to go. So in the class, I talk about that, how to do that, because it's very easy to be distracted in this life. It's very easy to be distracted. Of course, there's so many things pulling at us all of the time, but you've got to have your center, your spiritual center. That's the benefit of ritual. I know, y'all might be like, do these rituals really work? Do this what? One of the ways in which the rituals work is because it makes you focus. If it's only for 5 minutes a day, to manifest, the ritual you go through to manifest, if you're writing in a journal or saying some affirmations, think of it as like watering a plant. You must water the plant. If you don't water the plant, it's going to wither and die, right? So rituals get you to focus with your hands, with your mind, with your mouth, to announce a thing, to proclaim a thing. Like it says in the Bible, thou shalt declare a thing and it shall be established unto you. Who knows that scripture? I think it's from the book of Job. Thou shalt declare a thing and it shall be established unto you. Not it might be established unto you. It possibly could be established. No, it shall. Because if you declare a thing with your mouth, you are using your words as a magic wand. And when you focus on it with intensity and intention regularly, it is like magic and it will create what you want. Likewise, when you say things that you really don't want, it operates just the same. And so we'll have things happen in our life and we'll say, I didn't want that to happen. Well, how much did you talk about it? How much have you been watering that plant of being broke? People will say, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this. How much of your time do you spend telling yourself and others that you don't have it? That is your mantra. You are watering the plant of being broke. And it grows in your house. It grows within you even, because you keep watering it. So anyway, whatever anybody else wants to offer at this point, I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate y'all being here with me once again. And do look for that super chat situation. I don't know how that works just yet. As I said, let me check what I might have here in the chat, because I can't really see it all. Okay. I guess somebody has to type something. All right. Well, what else is there? I'm going to wrap it up there because I don't need to just be on here talking at you. You got other things to do, I'm sure. And again, I appreciate you stopping by to spend some time with me. I would just say breathe, light a candle. Let's see, what would be a good candle? Blue. I would say pink if you have some pink, or white candle. I got this one here. It's just a Holy Spirit candle that I got at the local store. You can find those almost anywhere because the Holy Spirit is pretty universal. It doesn't have to just be, of a Christian understanding of Holy Spirit, but just the divine, right? Light a white candle, light a blue candle. Blue is for calm and peace. Pink is for love and peace. A rose quartz, you can have rose quartz at this time. Blue agate, things that are for calm and for peace. Clear crystal quartz always works, to sit and meditate with. If you don't even say, well, I don't know how to meditate, just hold it and breathe deeply. And just allow yourself to focus on your breath. And do that for as long as you can. I know at some point the thoughts will just come racing in. That's okay. You don't have to fight with your thoughts, but focus on your breath and see if you can do that for 5 minutes, especially in these times, because we know leading up until January 20th, anything can happen. Absolutely anything out there can happen out there in the world. What you got going on in here? What you got going on in here? So have your spiritual practice. I say I sound like a broken record. Your own spiritual practice where you light some candles, allow yourself to get quiet and get still so you can hear your ancestors. You can hear the God of your understanding speaking to you, so you can have some peace in this life. Okay, that's it. Bye for now. I appreciate y'all joining me once again. And yeah, join me on the class Saturday. We start Saturday. So, and I should say, if you have already signed up, you're going to get a Zoom link from me tomorrow. I will be sending out the Zoom link for class on Saturday. All right, bye for now.